All right, welcome everybody. Chris is running late. He's running about 5 minutes behind, I think. Anyway, an introduction. Both me and our Chris have been long-term listeners to our guest, Sage of Quay podcast for many years. In fact, Chris introduced me to Mike about 10 years ago, and I've listened to everything he's done, probably every podcast. So, over the last year, it's been a real pleasure for both of us to do several deep dive presentations together covering Jane Asher and the Doors. So I'm going to introduce Mike Williams. Hi, Mike.
Hi there. Good to see you again.
Good
Where's
to see
Chris?
you again, yeah. Yeah, he's probably drowning in a bottle of wine somewhere. It's because of the time difference. It's normally a little bit earlier. A bit later that we do these live podcasts, but obviously we've got to match up with your times as well. And so I don't know how many we'll get in tonight. We normally get a few hundred, but
yeah, I had to double check to make sure I got the time right on my end. So
yeah, it's a little bit confusing when the times change over here. It always throws me, no matter how many times it happens, twice a year, and it always still throws me.
Yeah.
So it'll definitely throw you. But yeah, what's the? We've been doing 4 presentations now, probably 2 hours plus each presentation.
Yeah. Plus we have the ones that we did previously on the Occult Beatles.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, we did them as well. One of the standout ones, I was speaking to Chris the other day, one of the standout things that I remember was the Dr. Asher, probably the first Jane Asher one. You went into a monologue basically about mind control.
Yeah.
And I found that really interesting because everyone just thinks it's hypnosis that takes over people's mind. And you were saying, no, that's just one of the tools in the toolbox.
Right. That's right.
So, yeah, that was one of the standout things for me that I think we all sort of realised that Dr. Asher was part of the British MK Ultra operation.
Yeah, if people want to understand what's all involved in a program, just do the research on you and Cameron as one example. There are other examples, and it's pretty nasty stuff.
Yeah, to say the least. In fact, I actually recorded that a part of that monologue because you probably went on longer than you thought it went on for, and it was brilliant. That's the good thing about our presentations. I'll put some subject matters together, but we go off on different tangents. I love all that side of it. That makes
so
it.
I said something that made sense. I'm happy about that.
We get enough grief, don't we?
you do enough of them, you finally get one right.
Yeah. But I'll play this. It'll probably mute us, but it's only about a minute and a half long.
Okay.
While we're waiting for our Christian. This is Mike's version of the. Was it the hypnosis document that Dr. Asher put together? Respectable Hypnosis, and he basically explained in a nutshell what mind control was. And this is your response to that. So he wrote this paper, and that's a section of that paper out of it, and you've probably heard that before.
I have a copy of the paper. Now, let me just explain. As you mentioned, Dom, I do have some expertise in this area. I was a certified master hypnotherapist. I was 12 years of private practice, and I was also an instructor for almost a decade. what he just discussed there can only happen, those types of results can only happen after repetitive sessions. In other words, somebody's got to be in a program. Because if you just bring somebody in for hypnosis and you put them into trance for an hour and a half, you typically cannot make somebody do something that they don't want to do. Their subconscious mind will cut it off and say, no, I'm not going to do that. In fact, we used to always say, people would ask me, they'd say, they'd find out that I was a hypnotherapist and they'd say, oh, are you going to make me bark like a dog? I said, not unless you want to.
Yeah.
So when he talks about these types of results in this paper, they will only obey the person that the hypnotherapist tells them to obey. They will only do this. They will only do that. That tells me that this is somebody that is in a long-term program, which means to me, it's not just hypnosis that's taking place. So there could be electric shock, there could be sensory deprivation, there could be drugs involved. So if I had to take a guess, and again, to me, because of my experience, it's an educated guess, he's talking about the results of somebody being in a mind control program.
There we have it. I think it was quite well said, that, Mike.
Well, thank you, Dom. That's how it works. You know, you have sensory deprivation, electric shock, physical and mental trauma, drugs are involved, and there's also hypnosis. So hypnosis is one of the tools in the toolbox, but hypnosis by itself is not a mind control program.
Mm. And how ironic that, and I know we're not just going to talk about, we'll try and not talk about just the Beatles tonight, but how ironic that Dr. Asher he's got a lodger called Paul McCartney living with him while he's doing this work on mind control.
Right. Yeah, it's a very strange story. He's living with the Ashers. He's got his own bedroom. We're told there's a piano in the bedroom. And in the book, The Memoirs of Billy Shears, it explains that the reason why the piano was in the bedroom was because Dr. Asher and his wife, Margaret Asher, were conducting hypnosis sessions with Paul McCartney in trance on the bed. And so she would play the piano and Dr. Asher would facilitate the hypnosis session. And in the book, it explains that this is how the song Yesterday came about. So Paul McCartney had one of these hypnosis sessions that Dr. Asher was conducting, and Margaret Asher was playing Yesterday on the piano. And so the post-hypnotic suggestions will tell the client, the subject, in this case, Paul McCartney, that you're going to remember the music, but that's all you're going to remember. You're not going to remember who was playing the piano or whether there was a piano being played. You're going to remember that melody. And so when the session is over and he emerges, that's what he remembers. So the way the story goes is that the melody to Yesterday was running through his head. And so he was asking people, and this is in the book, and Billy's relaying this story. He would go to George Martin and say, do you know this song? I mean, does this song sound familiar to you? And so on. And everybody's like, no. You know, of course, everybody's lying. And that's the story behind Yesterday. So when they say that the song came to him in his sleep or came to him in his dream, well, that sleep or that dream state was, in all likelihood, a hypnosis session. And in all likelihood, multiple hypnosis sessions. So, and as I explained in the clip that you just played, there's got to be repetition. So in order to reshape the mind, you have to have repetition. And there's got to be multiple sessions in order to be able to get the mind to make the shift to where the practitioner or whoever is handling him or grooming him wants him to go or wants him to think. And I'm using him, Paul McCartney, biological Paul McCartney, as an example. So it's a very interesting story. Is it true? Well, I don't know, but it's entirely possible that that's exactly what happened.
And also, if you throw into the mix that yesterday, given the work you did in that 4.5 hour magnum opus, that yesterday was an old Italian Neapolitan right
song. Yes, yeah, right. Almost note for note.
Yeah,
and also Hey Jude.
Yeah, Hey Jude as well. Yeah, and
I had.
Hey, Mike. I know I've asked you this before, Mike. Sorry, I was late. But do you think that ties into the film yesterday? I think I've asked you this before. But in the film, I've not actually watched the film, but I know the story of it is he gets struck by lightning, this young kid, and then the song Yesterday comes into his head, but it's in like an alternative reality,
right?
And no one else has ever heard that song except him, and it came to him,
right.
and he's playing it, and he becomes famous for then singing that song, and the Beatles never existed, kind of thing, or they never sang.
Yeah, it's been a while since I watched the movie, but basically the movie takes it a step further. It is actually telling us that the entire Beatle catalog, he brought that with him into that alternate reality. And so the movie's very interesting because in its own way, it is it plays into the whole Paul is dead conspiracy. Absolutely, it does. And there's one scene in there with Ed Sheeran, and he mentions Vivian Stanshall in one of the in the kitchen scene. And I remember in the kitchen, the backsplash was checkerboard, and he doesn't mention Stanshall. He says the ginger geezer, but it was technology that was used associated with Vivian Stanshall.
Yeah.
So they're even pointing back to Stanshall in that scene with Ed Sheeran. It was a very, from a Paul is Dead perspective, it was entertaining. Was it a great movie? No, I don't think it was a great movie, but if you knew the clues and you knew what to look for, it could be, like I said, quite entertaining to watch.
I have to watch it. I've never watched it. I keep meaning to. Every time I speak to you, I keep meaning to watch it.
Yeah.
With a notebook and just jot down any clues.
Ed Sheeran's had his own mental issues as well, hasn't he? He's had quite a lot of, suffers from quite bad anxiety. And,
does he?
Yeah, and agoraphobia, I think. He sort of locked himself in his, or not saying locked himself in his mansion his estate. For quite a while. I think it's Mark that's mentioned that in some of his talks.
Right.
Yeah. Okay, I didn't know that. I don't pay much attention to him, to be honest.
No, neither do I. Yeah.
I couldn't name one of his songs.
No, I couldn't either.
Me either. And I honestly, the couple of times that I've seen him, I'm not trying to be disparaging, but I just don't see what it is about him that, would bring you to listen to his music.
Apparently, his videos have got some heavy stuff in them, though. Apparently, I've not really watched any of them either. Apparently, got quite a lot of heavy symbology in them.
I'm sure they do. I haven't watched them either, but when they push somebody along like that, again, we've talked about this many times. There's a machine behind them. There's groomers and there's handlers and there's people that are managing them, and that's how they get to where they are. The music industry is not about you having all this creativity and all this stuff. Because there are lots of people who are very talented and are creative and who are great musicians and have written great songs, but we have no idea who these people are because they haven't been slotted. They haven't been tapped to move into the positions that these guys are.
Yeah.
And again, as you covered the sort of like the guys that come into the studio musicians who are a lot more highly talented than the actual performers.
Absolutely. And people will ask me, how come they don't say anything? They have to know. Yeah, of course they know. I mean, of course they know they're playing on these songs, and they're not credited. In fact, it's credited to the band that didn't play in the studio. But the thing is, the way it works is they got to play the game. If you don't play the game and you open your mouth, and you're out of work.
Yeah, you don't get a paycheck. That's it.
You will. That's right. You will be out of work. You will be called in to do a session. So, back in the 60s and the 70s, let's say the 1960s, and let's just say that you're Hal Blaine and you drummed on a Beatles song, and then you decide to pull a Bernard Purdie and say, hey, no, I drummed on that song, that one, and this one. That would be the last time Hal Blaine would have drummed on a song. Right? They just would have blackballed him and said, that's it. So it's a tight-knit group. And even if you're a studio musician, and many of them are not, they're not in the club, they're just great musicians, they know that there are certain things that they just can't talk about. They have to keep under their hat, and they'll take it to their grave.
Was it Richard Purdie? Even was it the drum? Am I right there? Is it Richard Purdie?
Bernard Purdie.
Bernard Purdie. He could tell when he was talking about it, was very reluctant to talk to discuss it, weren't there? He wanted to let the secret out of the bag, but to let the cat out of the bag, but he was very reluctant still.
Yeah, Bernard is the one studio musician that I know about that really, really stepped out. And he's dropped clues. I was watching a Steely Dan documentary. Maybe it was The Making of Asia or something like that. And they were interviewing Bernard, and he was talking about all of the acts, singers and artists that he has drummed for on recordings. And in that documentary, he mentions the Beatles. So he slipped it in, and Bernard was doing stuff like that. He would slip it in. But the reason why he's reluctant is because, I've read many interviews that Bernard did, and he talked about this, is because Bernard took a lot of heat. And in one interview, he mentioned that he had received a death threat. And I think it was when he was, don't quote me on this, I think he was doing an interview on the radio and somebody called in. So, but he said that it was, he took a lot of heat, he took a lot of abuse, but he hadn't changed his story in 50 years. I think the first time he talked about it was back in 1978. And he was asked, well, if you drummed on these 21 Beatles songs, how come you won't tell us the names of the songs? And, Bernard, from my understanding, based upon a person that I know who is a professional drummer and knows Bernard, said to me that Bernard is all about the money. So if he's going to do something, if he's going to talk about the songs or whatever, well, you got to ante up. And in one interview, I think it might have been Martin Drummer, going back into the 1980s. Again, don't quote me on that particular magazine, but I think it was. They said, well, how come you don't call out the 21 songs? He says, because I need it as leverage. Because when I did those songs, I didn't get paid a lot of money. But look at where those songs are today. So, you know what? I want more money. So he's holding out the songs. He won't say what the songs are until they write him a check. And in one interview, he said that their people, meaning the Beatles management, their inner circle, told him that they were going to make it right. So what's implied in that? That says to me that the Beatles inner circle decided to write a big check. Mm-hmm. And I'm sure the discussion went like this. All right, Bernard, okay, we're going to write you a big check. We're going to do the right thing here. But here's the thing. You cash that check and you never, ever talk about the 21 songs. You never name the 21 songs. Okay? That's it. Check and you zip up. So that's what I think happened. Some people want to argue and say, no. He drummed on the pre-Beatles Fame tracks with Tony Sheridan. And that's true. He was also paid to fix some of those tracks too. But he also drummed on 21 Beatle tracks. And in a very early interview, he had mentioned that it was primarily focused on the first 3 albums, which would be Please Please Me, With the Beatles, and A Hard Day's Night. So, each one of those albums has 14 songs. So 3 times 14. Well, he did 21 of those. And that's not to say that he didn't drum on some later songs as well, but for sure, I would say the majority of his playing was on those first 3 albums in 1963 going into 1964.
And I suppose he's thinking, I'm never going to get anything else out of this apart from money. They're never going to give me the royalties or that Ringo Starr's got. So I might as well take what I can get.
Right. The way the story goes is that Bernard he's an instructor too, a drum instructor, a teacher. And what would happen is these students would talk about what a great drummer Ringo Starr is. And he got tired of hearing it because he knew that, well, first of all, he was one of the drummers on the Beatles tracks. And he also knew that, Ringo was not a great drummer. His job, as he mentioned, as Bernard mentioned in the 2004 Red Bull interview, Ringo's job was to play live. He was to do the live stuff. The studio stuff, no. In fact, in that interview, he said there were 4 drummers on the Beatles' early music, and Ringo was not one of them. He was very, very specific about that. And people have asked me who the 4 drummers are. Well, Bernard, we know, is one of them. Andy White is another. We know that George Martin hired Andy White. And I don't think George Martin hired Andy White just to drum on 2 songs. I just don't think that was, I think Andy White drummed on a lot more than 2 songs. Ronnie Verrill was also another drummer on Beatles songs. Ronnie was the late, great jazz and studio drummer, session drummer out of the UK. How do I know that? Because one of his relatives contacted me. And they said to me, after I did the Beatles write all their own music back in April of 2020, they wrote me and said, hey, now the cat's out of the bag. I'm going to tell you that my relative, Ronnie Verrill, Ronnie's passed, he's been gone, I think now, probably since, 2012, around there, drummed on Beatle tracks. Ronnie was the drummer that did the drumming for the Muppet Animal on Sesame Street. That was Ronnie. That was one of his gigs. So, so the question becomes, who was the 4th drummer? Well, we can just go down right down the line. It could have been Ginger Baker. It could have been Jim Keltner. It could have been Hal Blaine. It could be any number of drummers, studio drummers.
Ginger Baker would have been easily controlled, wouldn't it? Because was he an heroin addict? I think he was an alcohol.
Yeah, he had some struggles, certainly, but Ginger was he was a fantastic drummer. And he really, there were times when he was interviewed, he talked about the Beatles, and he didn't really he didn't put them in high esteem. A lot of times you'll hear that Ginger was stuck up because he was musically trained, so he didn't have a lot of patience for people who were musicians that he didn't believe were at his level. I'm not saying that that's fair. I'm just saying that that's one of the knocks against Ginger Baker. He could be ornery. But I remember reading a couple of things where the Beatles came up and he wasn't very flattering.
Yeah. Well, it's nice of you to join us, by the way, Chris.
Sorry about that, guys.
It's all right.
Yeah.
No,
but I can't believe you show with me on it.
Yeah.
Mike. Mike.
You won't sleep tonight.
And also, you're one of my favorite guys to listen to.
He says that now, Mike.
No, it's true. It's a long story, and I'm not going to bore you.
All right, you're back on my good graces.
I do nothing but apologise.
Don't
scatty idiot.
Yeah.
One thing I was going to ask you, Mike.
I think it's one of your qualities.
Are you familiar with the Average White Band? You just got me thinking about them.
Somewhat, yes. I remember listening to them when I was a kid, but I don't know a lot about the band's background.
They're one of my favourites, actually, and they're all Scottish, and apparently they changed the soul music scene in the 70s.
Wasn't it Pick Up the Pieces? Wasn't that their song?
Exactly.
I love that song.
And what just got me thinking when you were talking about things like that is I've seen them guys live. I've seen them here where I live, and I saw them in London. and they're a group of Scottish guys, and they were all session musicians. And they got together, and I think they backed with like Aretha Franklin and loads of film, and then they started doing their own music, but no one ever knows who they are. But then you can turn on the TV and pick up the pieces in adverts left, right, and centre. Let's Go Around Again, I think, is another one of the famous ones. Atlantic Avenue, and you hear them everywhere, but nobody knows who they are. And I find it bizarre because they're really good musicians, really good. I mean, I've seen them live a couple of times, like I said, and they sounded like the albums. They
sound like an American band, don't they, Chris? Which is very rare for a British band to be able to.
And it's quite funny because they'll be doing the live set and they're all Scottish, and they'll go, and they'll be like, pick up the piece, and then they'll go, anyway, next song is next.
You're like, what?
Yeah, I can't believe it's just sung, I think one of the founding members died of a heroin overdose a long time back. But I don't know. I always just think they're a great band. All the music's fantastic, but they just don't seem to get they never got the accolade that I always thought.
They're not chosen. That's why.
That's what we're trying to get at. Yeah.
Well, the studio musicians, they're the backbone of the music industry, and so in the 1960s and the 70s, the Wrecking Crew here in the U.S., which was pretty much Phil Spector's house band, but you also have the same thing going on in the UK. And then what happened was the studio guys and gals, many of them made the transition from doing studio work to actually joining bands. So they didn't go away. There was this process, this transition. I mean, a good example of that would be Led Zeppelin. Guys like John Paul Jones, Jimmy Page, were studio musicians, and then they formed Led Zeppelin, and so they went from studio to their own band. There's many examples like that. Many examples.
The reason we got to this, Chris, we were speaking about one of the standout things we were talking about. When Mike did that monologue, went on for about 5 or 6 minutes. Mike, I cut it down. I played the video just before you came on, and about Dr. Asher and Mike's explanation of what mind control were. One of the standouts for me. Of all those, I don't know how many hours, probably 10 hours or whatever plus that we've done so far. Anyway, what I've done is I brought together a few images and a bit of a PowerPoint, not necessarily a PowerPoint, but some videos as well. I'll put this PowerPoint up, Chris, because it'd be one of your favourite. There we go. So a lot's been talked about Peter Thiel and the Epstein backing, and also he was the guy that was the first investor in Facebook after the LifeLog operation the CIA ran that closed on the very same day that Facebook opened. I think it was February 4th, 2003 or 4 or something like that. And basically, they swapped from CIA to private company. And Peter Thiel was the guy. He's sat on every Bilderberger since 2008 as Peter Thiel. Yeah. But so, do you remember when I keep saying he's had the blood transfusions? I found the evidence that I had away the other day when I was putting the presentation together that we were going to do about the Assassin's Creed. And I thought this was an interesting one. So, billionaire Trump supporter Peter Thiel denies being a vampire.
Yeah, I remember reading that article. Why would you need to deny being a vampire?
He's getting his blood from a bag versus biting somebody in the neck. I guess that's maybe how he's delineating.
Yeah. So the idea is that they're actually getting transfusions from teenagers. I mean, that's.
Yep.
And that goes up to that guy. Who's that American guy? He's like a multi-millionaire. And he's taking blood from his son. I've forgotten his name. He's always in the press for some reason. He's taking blood from his son, and I think he's giving blood to his father, who was sick. I forget what his name is though. And it's the same thing. He's taking, just try and make his life longer, basically.
Yeah, with these guys and these ladies, it's all about blood. Blood is very important. Blood sacrifice, blood rituals, spilling blood. We talked about this. I mean, that's what war is all about. War is about spilling blood. It's, war is a ritual.
Yeah. We'll discuss that in a bit, actually, the stuff that's going on at the moment.
Yeah.
And when you think about blood, and I'm not being silly, but it's an amazing thing because we don't really. I mean, I can't explain what it is. We've all got it. We all create it. It's literally his life source. But it's an amazing thing, isn't it? When you think about it, you've got to have that coursing through your body to
Yes.
survive.
Yep.
But look at that headline, Chris. So there's a startup business, or there was. I don't know if it's still around. This was about nearly a decade ago. Ambrosia, the startup harvesting the blood of the young.
Yeah.
That's a headline.
Harvesting. It's an interesting choice of words.
I remember that at the time being in all the news. And is it the plasma? They still do the plasma harvesting, don't they?
Yeah. But especially if you're building, I mean, how many kids go missing in the US? Is it 300,000 plus in the US?
I don't know the exact number, but there's a lot of kids. Yep.
How can that even be possible? How can that be possible? It's amazing, isn't it? And then we have, I don't know if, does the same happen in America? Like where one child goes missing and they seem to focus on that one child, but then never discuss all the other ones that go missing.
Yeah. So periodically, they, like you said, they pick a child as an Amber Alert and they focus on that. But there are so many other children that are missing, that have gone missing, and you never hear about that. And the reason why you don't hear about it is because there's no attention put on it. There's no media. The parents suffer in silence. And nobody's giving them the time of day. Nobody's giving them a voice. So they don't exist.
God knows what happens to them poor kids. There's basically millions of them go missing every year, isn't there? Anyway, let's move on to a different subject. Bloodsuckers, vampires, and kids. Jesus.
There must be a reason, though, just to stay on that, Dom. I've always thought there must be a reason why vampires are so prevalent, and Dracula's always regurgitated over and over again, innit? I mean, there's another film last year came out. I think there's 2 Dracula films came out last year. Why is I mean, and then you've got the bloodline thing that Prince Charles says he related to Vlad the Impaler, the base Dracula, etc. But they regurgitate that same story.
Well, that's because they look to normalize it. So many people will read this and they really won't have an opinion on it. They'll just look at that and go, "Oh, really?"
And romanticize it as well. That he's kind of a good guy, really. It's not really that bad.
That there is an occult agenda behind it, then it's a completely different story. And you know that what they're doing is they're, like I said, they're trying to condition the public to normalize this, make it part of the normal discourse. So you keep repeating it, you keep putting this type of stuff out. So eventually what happens, people glaze over and they don't pay any more attention to it. But they just told you the truth. That's the thing. They just told you the truth. They said that they're harvesting the blood of the young. That's what that headline says.
Yeah. And harvesting doesn't mean you're taking a little bit. That means you've gone.
Yeah, it's like right. You harvest
industry level. Yeah, industrialized it, I suppose. But also you've got the Dracula story and another one. Frankenstein's always regurgitated, and the Mummy as well. When you think all those 3, you've got this. Frankenstein, I suppose, could be transhumanism, and then the Mummy story could be, I don't know, some kind of weird reincarnation story.
You're going to say reincarnation,
yeah.
But those 3 things, I mean, can we not come up with any new monsters over the last 100 years? They regurgitate over and over again, aren't they?
Well, again, like you've said before, Chris, that that's what got me onto Assassin's Creed. The films in Hollywood, they're obsessed with serial killers, assassins, hitmen.
Yeah.
And now they're even making autistic hitmen. Like I think Ben Affleck played an autistic hitman.
The Accountant, yeah.
Yeah.
They made a sequel to that as well.
Well, if you go on Netflix, this is one of the things that we notice. You try to watch something on Netflix, trying to pick something out of the lot of slop that's there, and you read the summary of what it's about. It's all about murder, serial killers, CIA agents.
Yeah.
It's about the police state, the intelligence state, surveillance. It's I just breeze right through this stuff.
Yeah.
I go right with it. I go right over it. I'm like, I know what's going on here. But the average person does it. They're going to watch these things. They're going to watch these movies and these programs with multiple episodes that have to do with serial killers and violence and the spilling of blood.
And when you get into this stuff like the bloodlines that we've been covering over them last few episodes, and you start seeing that these people have got ingrained in them the bloodlines of serial killers or hitmen or what have you. And they're the Hollywood actors that are portraying these people as well.
Mm-hmm.
Again, they're telling us the truth all the time, aren't they?
Yeah.
And even when you think,
sorry, Chris.
even when you think of like when you're about Netflix, right? If you think of like even like Miss Marple, or I think there's one over here that my missus watched called Death in Paradise, where it's on like a Caribbean island, but someone still gets murdered every week. You know, you've got you've got old dears, and my missus watching shows basically about murder. But but it's just light-hearted murder. It's not. Really...
I like how you didn't include your missus as an old dear.
No, not old dear. I just meant missus. But it's like light-hearted murder, isn't it? It's not like serial killer murder. But then, like the serial killer, there's so many serial killer ones on like Netflix and stuff.
Yeah.
And my mate at work was saying, and this was his words. He was saying, but you kind of feel the kind of giving it from a sympathetic angle, like you feel a little bit sorry for them. Like they are serial killers, but they're not that bad. You kind of get the point, really.
I mean,
sympathy for the devil.
He loves his mother.
Yeah,
It's
nice
he had a hard childhood.
Yeah.
He had a hard childhood, so it's all right that he killed 30 people and wears a skin for a face.
That's another thing that they've done, haven't they? They've made the cop who's actually psychotic, the hero of the film, and
it's all very it's all very dysfunctional. When you think about it, I think about this. I'm like, is it possible to make something where there's not all this violence, there's not this death? How about some feel-good stories? How about some motivational types of stories?
Yeah.
How about stuff like that? And that whole like serial killer, surveillance state stuff, police state stuff it dominates streaming services like Netflix.
Yeah, and then you've got like your heroes. Then, like let me find this video. Like George Clooney, for instance, who's another New World Order operative. I'll play this video. This video here is about him. Well, listen to it. It's basically a 2020/2021 jab pushing video.
Filmmaker, do you support mandatory vaccines on film sets?
I support mandatory vaccines. Period. I think every company should do it. Listen, I don't care. To me, it's really simple. We can look out for one another and take care of one another, or we can not. It's that simple. And all the people who want to talk about their independence and their freedom, you're free to leap until you fall down the stairs, but you're not free to drive. The minute your freedom infringes on everyone else's, then it stops. And so I believe very much in that, as we did with polio, as we do with measles and mumps and everything else when a kid wants to go to school. And we'll get there. It'll take some time.
Just to continue on what you were just saying about vaccines, do you feel any backlash from the anti-vaxxers, and does that ever bother you in any circumstances at all?
No, because the truth of the matter is, I was listening to a podcast the other day about the polio vaccine, which they screwed up when they first put out, which I didn't remember. I didn't know. I was too young. One factory actually ended up giving a bunch of kids polio and killing them because they weren't filtering out the formaldehyde. We haven't had any of those problems with the vaccine. It's been a pretty successful rollout. And there were lots of skeptics then, and it took a few years, 3 years, to get their act together. That's what's going to happen here. We'll get our act together and we'll get it done. We have to, because that's how we get out of it.
That's what your heroes do.
So what happened to the kids that got polio from the shots? He doesn't talk about that.
No. They just died, Mike.
That's just a necessary evil as part of the testing process. Yeah. He's a clown.
Yeah. He's an actor
clown as well. Yeah, dangerous clown.
Yeah.
Who works with the CIA for his films, Syriana and a lot of the other films. Comes from a a specific bloodline as well. Does George Clooney? We will cover in that presentation that we do. His whole family are actors.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of them, I think it's Pat Boone is related to, and that side. He's a famous singer, a country and western singer, isn't he? To name a few. But yeah.
I just think how many people that hit though, that hit as a positive jibber jabber story, and George Clooney said it. So
that's the thing. They roll these people out, and this is part of the conditioning and the brainwashing. It's because these celebrities they're like lower level gods, demigods. People follow them, and they tell you to jump off the roof. There are people that will do it. And what's interesting with that clip, he talks about formaldehyde being in the shot, the original polio shot, and he doesn't even blink. I mean, the first question you should ask is, why is formaldehyde in a vaccine and being injected into a body?
Then he said they managed to strain it out. What, did he put it through a sieve or like a tea strainer?
But that's what they use in dead bodies.
Yeah, right. Exactly. Strain it out. Strain it out means they stopped using it, but they haven't stopped using it. No. And if they did stop using it, something else is in there. A lot of other stuff is in there. That's absolutely not healthy for you. I mean, the whole premise that you would inject your body with some foreign substance that you have no idea what's in it. Think about that. You have no idea what's in it.
Yeah.
It's mind boggling. Now, of course, probably like you guys, when I was younger, I had to get shots and vaccines, but I was a little kid. I didn't know any better.
Yeah.
And my parents didn't know any better.
He knows, though, doesn't he? He knows.
Of course he knows.
He's putting his acting abilities, if you like, into full force there, isn't it?
I would highly doubt that he went and took the shots.
Yeah. But like you were talking about with musicians, Mike, you see it with actors, probably even more prevalent, actually, the ones that are pushed. I mean, how many people try and be actors? I mean, if you watch films, there's only like 25 bloody actors working, apparently.
Yeah.
Same people in the films over and over and over again. I mean, there must be a reason behind that. Like Dom says, they're all part of these same bloodlines.
Well, he's part of the Council on Foreign Relations. He's a member of the CFR. It's worked for the UN.
If you make it to the A list, I would consider Clooney as an A-list actor. Not that his acting is great, but they've elevated him to that level as an A-list actor. They're all tied in. You cannot control the system if you can't control the system. So you have to have your lackeys in there, your foot soldiers, to maintain the system's control over the population. So you got people like Clooney and so many others, guys like Tom Hanks. We talked about him last time. He's there with the Queen. Well, how the hell did Tom Hanks end up with the Queen?
Yeah.
Right. So that's how it works. And it's the same thing in the music industry, and pick any other.
I saw a video today of Tom Hanks on some post, and he's brought out a coffee brand, but all the proceeds go to veterans, army veterans.
Of course.
So just in time for all this shenanigans. But then you immediately think it's another charity cash cow, isn't it? Basically.
Yeah.
And he's got his face on the thing. I took a picture of it. I took a screenshot of Tom, because there's a bit where he's leaning up to the screen, and it looks pretty terrifying to me.
Tom Hanks.
I took a screenshot of him with his bag of coffee, and his eyes are like, and he just looks. I don't know. He looks.
Did he have his Corona typewriter in the background?
Yeah.
Well, first of all, we shouldn't even have anybody going out to die in a war. That's number one, right?
Yeah.
So
horrible.
I mean, that's a whole other discussion. So they put these guys and these gals out there to push the propaganda. And in his mind, it's good public relations for him, because he knows that most people in the world, adults, DOLTS, not adults, adults, and they're just going to, roll with it. They're not going to think about connecting any dots. So, isn't Tom Hanks a great guy? Look, he's selling coffee, and the proceeds are going to our veterans. God bless America. They fight for our freedom and liberty and all that stuff. And, they're not fighting for your freedom and liberty. They're out there fighting for
whoever.
The elite system.
Yeah, the banksters.
Right.
But him by holding that coffee up, saying it's for the veterans, he's pushing war, isn't it? Basically.
Of course. Of course.
He's getting people on side.
It's like in the United States when we have football games, they'll have flyovers, right, from the U.S., maybe the Air Force or something, the Blue Angels or whatnot. That's all brainwashing. That's all propaganda. That's tying the military into a sports event. And you have to think to yourself, well,
What's it got
what
to
does
do
the
with
military have to do with a football
Well, it's
game?
the ultimate sports event, isn't it?
Yeah.
The military is the ultimate sports event because all sport imitates military.
Yeah.
And what they're spraying out of the back of those planes, I would say. Well, they've got that group of people all in that same spot.
But it's the whole thing is just one mishmash of conditioning and propaganda and deception. It's it never sleeps. It's 24/7.
But the new shenanigans, mate. It's the first time they've not come up with any reason to invade somewhere. I mean, at least they used to come up with
the Iran war.
Yeah. They used to come up with a fake reason. Now it's a free for all.
They're using language like you would expect a Satanist, an evil baddie, Trump. We've obliterated them. We've decapitated the leadership. We've killed all. But in reality, all they're doing is killing Iranians. They're not actually doing anything apart from flattening schools or.
There was an interview with Trump, and he was asked about the war. This goes back about 2 weeks ago or so, if memory serves me correctly. And part of his response was about going to war. So I don't know, maybe we just do it out of habit. I'm not kidding you. And I listened to that, and I had to stop. I had to pause the video I was watching. I'm like, did he just say that we go to war out of habit? So it goes to your point, Dom and Chris, that they don't even create a backstory anymore. They just go kill.
Yeah.
So, it's very sad. It really is. This world is really, really upside down.
It's sad as well because they're now keying up, 10,000 US paratroopers and Marines and what have you, to go and land on an island that the Iranians no doubt have got zeroed in. And they're just going to be cannon fodder. Everyone can see it happening. It's just unfolding before his eyes because these lunatics are running the show.
Yeah, and it's not going well for Israel and the United States, contrary to what people are listening to on mainstream media. I mean, the Iranians are fighting a war of attrition.
Yes.
That's what they're doing. And it's asymmetrical warfare as well. So they have, they're not going about it. They're not fighting the fight the way the Americans and the Israelis want them to fight the fight. The Americans and the Israelis, like, we're going to come at you this way because this is we're coming from a position of strength. And the Iranians are saying, no, we're not going to have that fight. We're going to do this fight. And it's, like I said, it's a war of attrition. They're just basically wearing them down. And one of the tactics, I've been following it, is the Iranians they're depleting the anti-missile batteries.
The stockpiles of missiles and stuff like that.
Yeah.
I've been watching it as well, Mike. Because you can see what's going to happen. I've got loads of books on World War I, World War II, diaries and things like that. And this is the first time I've seen the US involved in something that from the outset, everyone knows it's going to be a total disaster.
Yeah.
And I'm not saying Vietnam in the end wasn't a total disaster, but there was a point where people thought they were actually doing something for good. The majority of people around the world, I think a lot of people anyway, realize it's just going to be a disaster.
Like we said,
Iranians are ready for it.
We said they had 25 years to get ready since Baby Bush said.
I think it's longer than that. I mean,
longer,
Netanyahu has been saying for 40 years the Iranians are going to have the bomb in 3 minutes.
Yeah.
He's been doing that for 40 years. There's videos. Yeah. In fact, I have a video that I put up about 10 years ago where it was 30 years of that stuff on one of my alternate YouTube channels. Actually, it was my first YouTube channel, which is kind of dormant these days. But you have to think, what would the Iranians do if you were of sound mind and a clear thinker? If I keep saying that you're going to have the bomb in the next 3 hours, and so I need to attack you. Well, the people that you're talking about, what do you think they're doing over there? They're building weapons.
Getting ready, yeah.
They're getting ready. And, in this war here, probably a lot of people don't know this, but the Russians and the Chinese they're lending a lot of logistical support. The Chinese, what they did was, the GPS that we know is a Western technology. The Chinese have their own GPS, and that's what the Iranians are using. The Chinese said, here, use our GPS. Don't rely on theirs because they're going to shut you out of it. So here's ours. And from what I've been listening to, the Russians are sending stuff over, drones.
Well, the Russians are actually taking the piss because they're actually. I think they released a statement saying, if you stop funding Ukraine, Trump, we'll stop helping Iran.
Yeah,
basically laughed.
Yeah.
But what?
Go ahead,
Oh,
Chris.
sorry, Mac. No, sorry, Mac. Well, what I was going to say, what do we do as human beings? Because we obviously all love this country. I mean, I love England. I'm sure you love America, Mike. But you can't support this level of insanity, can you?
No.
And we want to, don't we? As human beings, we want to support our own country where we live and everything. But you can't be patriotic. It's not patriotism, is it? It's you've got to be on the side of good, and we're the bad guys, unfortunately, aren't we? And it's horrible to be a part of it.
Well, the thing is, yes, you have to be on the side of good, and the people that are in power are evil.
Yeah.
They're evil.
Yeah.
To do the things that they're doing. Just think about the United States and Israel. I call it the Israeli States of America. All they do is war. All they know is violence, imperialism, aggression. Wouldn't it be nice if you woke up in the morning as the leadership of a country and you said, we're all going to get along. We're going to create a world order where there's peace. We have commerce between nations and everything flows back and forth. There's no hostilities. We just, that's how we want to live our lives. And people would say, well, the world's a violent place. No, the world's only a violent place because the people that are in power make it violent. Yeah. I don't wake up every morning thinking I want to have violence in my life or I'm going to do somebody harm. So all they need to do is operate like the average person who wakes up every day and just wants to attend to their business. Yeah. And doesn't want to hurt anybody.
The people that own the coffee shop down the road just want to sell coffee and cakes. They don't want to go, they want to trade with people.
Yeah, they don't want to attack the coffee shop across the street.
No.
Stop firing little missiles at them.
The greater coffee shop, right? Like
We're expanding to
plan.
So
the greater coffee shop. We're going to attack them, and then we're going to take their coffee shop because our holy book says we should have all the coffee shops.
And not only will they take their coffee shop, but they'll absolutely ruin it as well, and it'll be horrible.
Yes.
So it's not even like they take over it and it becomes a better place. It becomes a utopia.
Yeah.
It actually is some sort of descending from hell. Have you seen the guy that talking to Peter Thiel? Have you seen the guy Alex Karp, the CEO? Have you seen that video of him?
Oh, that guy! Oh my God!
I mean, these are the people that. It's never happened before. Your heroes used to be, I don't know, from a bloke's point of view, masculine, Muhammad Ali or someone like that, someone who actually looked like a man. But this guy, I mean, I'll play the video, but it's
he's a psychopath.
We have a lot of individual investors on the line.
Oh, that guy.
Is there anything you'd like to say before we go?
We're doing it. We're doing it, and I'm sure you're enjoying this as much as I am. Let's not talk to analysts about the burden of being right, our burdens of investing in ontology, our burdens of actually looking at the math, the burden of reading what the rule of 40 is, the burden of being honest about what an enterprise software company is, or the burden of explaining to your friends that you're really happy. Maybe we should just stop talking about it. I'm very happy to have you along for the journey, and you are partners for us. Every Palantirian, we are crushing it. Everyone else who's listening, we are dedicating our company. We have dedicated our company to the service of the West and the United States of America, and we're super proud of the role we play, especially in places we can't talk about. And we love our success in the U.S. and globally. Also, we are doing in the United Kingdom and many other places. Palantir is here to disrupt and make the institutions we partner with the very best in the world. And when it's necessary, to scare enemies and on occasion kill them. And we hope you're in favor of that. We hope you're enjoying being a partner. and we're really happy and very, very focused on what we're doing. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. That concludes Q&A for today's call.
What even watching that? I mean,
That's just, he said, that's evil. That's evil. And you have these 4 ass clowns sitting at the table with him,
Nodding.
smiling and laughing and
Nodding
going
their
along
heads,
with it.
yeah.
I mean, what is wrong with people?
I mean, is that the new version of like a Mussolini speech or something? You know, is that like the new version of it, where you just agree?
They openly talk about killing people. If you don't agree with us, or if you get in our way, we'll kill you. We'll just take you out and we'll move along. Trump gave Palantir basically the contract to round up and consolidate all of the surveillance within the United States. And Palantir is an Israeli company. So, this is not good stuff.
No.
And I really wish people would wake up to what's really going on and how all these people and these companies are connected and what it is they're trying to do.
I've just realized something as well, that the Palantir name, let me see if I can share screen.
I'm sure it has some etymology.
Well, it's the Palatine. It's a German, believe it or not. So the Palatines were people that, I wrote about these people in my book. They escaped. Basically, they were of a certain religion that escaped Europe and then ended up in America. A lot of them. So I'm sure that can't be a coincidence that company's called Palatine. I need to do some more digging on that. It has to be. Well, Emperor Palatine as well, Chris.
Oh yeah, from Star Wars, yeah. Palpatine,
yeah.
Very similar.
Yeah,
Anyway.
I have to look more into that one. Like I said, there has to be etymology and connections that, I mean, they just don't pick the names of their companies or their logos on a lark. They all have meaning.
And occasionally we kill people. I mean, who says that? Is the CEO of a business? Who says that? That's
right.
That's just openly again, like Trump. And we made a point, me and Chris, when Trump got voted in, I'd been around a lot of bodybuilders in my time. I used to do a lot of weights, and I never went down their road of taking steroids and things like that. But I saw the aftermath of taking these hyper aggressive, absolute animals, really. And Trump, I think a lot of these guys that are in Trump's whatever government
circle
are on TRT, some kind of testosterone replacement treatment. At the very least,
Pete Hegseth, that guy.
Hegseth,
he's out of his mind. He's a cartoon character. He really is, and it's like they groomed him and handled him to present himself like he's in some kind of movie. Like he's in a Captain America movie. He comes out, he has this little handkerchief in his jacket. It's the American flag. I mean, who can't look at that and think, this is a put on? I
mean, that's the type of thing you get bought for your birthday or Christmas, isn't it? Your aunt buys you some, I don't know, Union Jack slippers or something, that you never wear. They're just in the cupboard somewhere. Do you like Union Jack slippers? Oh yeah, I love them. Yeah.
And he wears this tight jacket, like he's some kind of tough guy. And the things that he says are just over the top.
It's become more WWF than
I'm telling you, it has reached levels now that I never really thought it would reach.
And the swing, Mike, from Joe Biden that couldn't even tie his own shoelaces to these hyper aggressive blokes and women as well. Like the lady that was sticking up for the ICE guys that shot that woman at the back of the head for just turning away. And she was sticking up for him, saying,
defending murder.
Yeah, these guys, have a dangerous job. No, they just cold-bloodedly killed somebody in the streets. Two of them.
Which we have to kind of put it into the context of they're Zionists.
Yeah.
And if you take a look at Zionism, just if you want to understand the level of regard they have for humanity or lack of, just take a look at what takes place in Gaza. They kill anything that moves. So here in the United States, a lot of our major police departments are trained in Israel. So this is why you watch some of these videos and the cops come out, they're very aggressive. There's beat downs, stop resisting. The person's not resisting, but they're still, pounding them.
Yeah.
Where do you think that training came from? The job of the police department here in the United States, my father was a cop. He was in the New York City Police Department. He was also a detective. My father would never have operated like that. Never. If you're going after somebody and, you apprehend them, you arrest them, you don't beat the living daylights out of them or shoot them because the cop says, I feared for my life. That's one of their, get out of jail cards, which allows them to discharge their weapon, maim somebody,
actually
kill
call
somebody.
it a good shooting now, don't they? Or good, so which means it was, as far as they're concerned, fair game. Which I'm sure they have a dangerous job as well. I'm sure some of them are self-defense, but
it's fair. Self-defense is self-defense. I mean, if you're in a situation where you have to do that, that's understood. But a lot of times, what we're seeing is that the person that's being beaten and arrested hasn't done anything. It's just this aggression. It's the love of the power and the control over somebody else, and they get off on this. So, and I'm not painting a picture of all police. Like I said, my father was a cop, and I had a couple of uncles. My cousin were in the New York City Police Department. And like I said, they would never ever have operated like this. Of course, I'm going back many years ago.
It's different kind of respect going back.
Yes,
and over time, that respect's been whittled away. Even respect for yourself or whatever. I mean, as we were looking at these images before, Mike, of these before and after type shots of people. Now, whether she's been switched or not, but a lot of these people now are taking these diet drug injections that are basically stripping the whole body of any sort of muscle tone or anything, not just fat, but it actually strips you of everything. So even as individuals, we're now taking things that are meant to benefit us, but actually it's destroying us. So it's like a self-harming project these people have got going on now, the Satanists. You're actually doing it to yourself.
Yes. Yep. Self-inflicted harm.
Yeah. They've got all these celebrities basically to sell that new drug to apparently make you slimmer. Yeah, all those. But then they're not reporting any of the side effects, apparently.
Well, the one side effect is the possibility of blindness. But Dom and I were talking about this before we got started. I guess, you're going to roll the dice and say, well, let me see. I might go blind. So, you know what? Being thinner is more of a benefit than going blind.
I could stop eating cakes, but I'll take this dodgy thing that could give me
it's just crazy
organ failure and
I mean, I don't want to sound silly, but I can understand it in a way. I can understand that they brought out this super drug. Imagine they brought out a super drug. It's not getting any negative press, really.
No.
So you can understand why people would jump on board, can't you? Really? Or just short jump on board.
It's the same thing with the shots. Going back, the mainstream media they weren't reporting how dangerous it was. And for those of us that were calling it out, we were crazy, kooky. We were censored. Channels were yanked, shut down.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So, and this is just what they do. It's very satanic. It's very dark.
Well, these people look ill, don't they? They don't look well. To say they've lost we have people coming in our clinic who've been on this stuff, and they've lost so much muscle mass. It's not just body fat; it's muscle.
Is that Sharon Osbourne on the right?
And that's her daughter.
Oh my God!
Yeah. She used to be quite a chubby girl.
Yeah.
Just
on another note, talking of the Osbournes, I don't know if I mentioned this. Mark got somebody emailed him about there's a show over here called Get Me Out of Here. I'm a Celebrity, Get Me Out of Here, and they live in the jungle for a month or something like that. And Jack Osbourne was in there, and he actually said in that we watched the clip. He actually said, "Yeah, my dad wasn't a plumber; he was famous." And we were asking ourselves, do we think that these people actually listen to some of the stuff that we do. I know we're on about something totally different there, but we've had occasions where we've heard things like that, haven't we, Chris, as well?
Well, that Tom Hanks one, when I sent that picture done with Abraham, where he's making a new film basically where he plays Abraham Lincoln. But in this thing I took from a magazine, they're actually telling you that he's related to Abraham Lincoln in the article. And Dom's found his bloodline related to a lot of people he's played in films. But then in this article, they're admitting it, because we always said, why don't they say it in the promo in the film? Because surely that's a catch to get someone to watch the film. But they never do. But then this new one came out, and they're saying that he is related to Abraham Lincoln.
I've had stuff like that happen to me as well.
I know you have, Mike.
With the Beatles stuff, yeah. And in fact, twice, very notable, had to do with Billy himself talking about something. The first one was when he came out and he talked about Let It Be, the Get Back sessions, and they were going to do 14 brand new songs, write them from scratch. It's basically the same story as Rubber Soul, right? And they were going to do it in 30 days. And he comes out and says, it wasn't possible. It was impossible for us to write 14 songs, rehearse them and all that stuff in 30 days. So he came out with that. I put it up on my channel back in the day, but I watched that. I thought to myself, okay, so, it appears that he's giving me a wink and a nod, and he's saying, okay, good on you, Mike. You got that one, right? So he figured that out. And then there was another one where he alluded to his blind right eye, that he only sees with his left. And that, of course, would go back to Sally Whitty's research, but Sally presented her research on my channel. Those were two situations that when I saw those clips, I thought to myself, okay, this could be just a coincidence. But
too many coincidences, Mike.
But the two of them kind of like back to back.
Was that the one in the art gallery, Mike?
He was in the art gallery.
Yeah, when he said about and he said, because he's odd as well, because he said.
But why would he say that? Why would he
he
say
says my left eye?
He says you have to have an eye for that. He's talking. The guy who's interviewing him is talking to Billy, and they're talking about a particular photograph that's on the wall. And the interviewer says, you really have to have an eye for that. And Billy goes, he leans over, he goes, my left one.
My left one, yeah. And then he stamps his foot as well.
That's the eye that he sees with his right eye. He's blind in his right eye.
And that little foot, it seems like a little signal.
Yeah, I looked that up at one time. There's a Masonic reference to the foot, and I forgot what it was, so I apologize for that. I looked it up and I said, in Masonry, when you stomp the foot, the heel of the foot, what does that mean? I don't know why I can't remember. It was a while ago, but it has some symbolism and significance.
How long did that video appear after you'd done your presentation, Mike?
It was a couple of years afterwards, but I when I watched it, I thought to myself, especially the one with Let It Be and the 14 songs, and we couldn't get it done, and 30 days, what are we crazy type of thing. I'm paraphrasing, but basically he was saying that it wasn't possible. So the first thing you think to yourself was, well, if it wasn't possible in January of 1969, how was it possible in October of 1965? Right? If you did it once, you think maybe you could do it twice. So anyway,
he should have improved it, shouldn't he? Should have got better at it.
Of course, they should have had more prowess, right? So those were two situations that, can I prove it? No, but it was a very, very strange. It was very strange for him to come out and talk about those two things specifically. Very strange.
Yeah, I had an occasion. Boris Johnson had a website, just borisjohnson.com, and I've been taking some off it for the research in my book. And I fortunately had PDF'd all these pages that I wanted, and they've taken the website down. Taking it down.
And how long had it been there, Dom? It'd been there forever.
Since the early 2000s. Yeah.
Yeah. They're like, who's that IP belong to?
Because he was on about
We're
on about population control and things like that he'd been talking about, how there should be less people in the country. So obviously, because he was the head of the rollout of the jabs and stuff, I mean, you don't have to put two. His dad was in an interview for The Guardian, said the ideal population of Britain would be 10 million, 15 million max.
Yeah.
He wrote books on it, Dom. He wrote books
He
on
did
it.
write books on it, yeah. And he worked for John D. Rockefeller III on population control in the 60s.
I told people, like, when I would say something, when I was doing, commentary, I used to do videos on, commentary on what's going on in the world, and people are like, I don't believe that. I said, well, all you need to do is go to the World Economic Forum's website, and it's all there.
Yeah.
It's all there. I mean, they're telling you what it is that they have planned. Now, whether they actually accomplish it, that's another discussion. But the point being is, what I'm talking about is what they're telling you that they're planning on doing.
Yeah.
So you just need to come out of your cocoon.
Yeah.
And get a little more worldly.
I think at this point, I mean, the cards are literally, I mean, to us, it's insane because the cards are literally on the table out there. They're all just there lined up. Everything's there. I mean, I don't know how you can not see the injustice in the Matrix now. I don't know how you can't
nonsense.
see it.
Yeah. How you can't see it, yeah.
I have been saying, I'm sorry, Chris, go ahead.
No, go on, Mike, sorry.
I was going to say, I have been saying for years that the United States is under foreign occupation. Israel. I've been talking about it for years. And of course, most people didn't have ears for it. They just thought it was crazy. And now it's out in the open. Yeah. I mean, now the Zionist ideology permeates the United States political system. It permeates the White House, the Congress. It's there, and they're not even hiding it anymore.
And what confuses people is you don't have to be a Jewish Zionist. You can be a Christian Zionist.
Of course.
You can be like the Arab states. You can be an Arab Zionist.
Yes.
I mean, Saudi Arabia and people like that are actually seem to be on the side of Israel for some reason.
Yeah.
Our people over there, Mike.
What's that?
Sorry, Mike. I was going to say, our people over there, are they, like people who voted in Trump because he was going to be end all wars and he was going to save us all. What I mean is, are they refusing to change their mind through like stubbornness?
I think it's a combination of things. I think it's there are people that are pro the Zionist ideology. That's number one. So you have the Christian Zionists, like you mentioned, and they believe that what's being done needs to get done because it's prophetic. It's fulfilling prophecy. So that's one piece of it. The other piece of it is that some people are just completely asleep at the switch, and they just watch the television and they just soak in all of the propaganda that they're being told as to why we're out there, and the Iranians are bad people and they're a terrorist state and all of that. I mean, but people don't stop to think to themselves, "You're calling them a terrorist state? Yeah. What is it that we do all the time?"
I mean, the British and American Empire have basically taken over the world over the last 400 or 500 years.
It's unbelievable, and that's the thing. People don't have the wherewithal to stop and think for themselves and say, "Well, okay, but what about what we're doing? So how do you classify that? That's justified?" So I think that you have that piece of it, and then there are the people that just won't admit that they're wrong. They won't admit that they made a mistake, and so they will just stick by being wrong and be self-righteous about it. And they believe, as long as I stand my ground and I deny any kind of criticism coming my way or toward what I believe, I'll protect this bubble that I live in. I mean, humanity is a complex mix of dynamics. A lot of it, is stupidity. There's a lot of stupidity. And I really don't like saying things like that, but it's true.
Well, I mean, again, the truth in the pudding is that they got people banging pots and pans all around the world on a Thursday night for something that didn't even exist. And
right.
To lock themselves in their own house.
Right.
That must have been some kind of massive test that somewhere.
Just on that subject, Dom, sorry, Mike, there's a new strain apparently. Sweeping America.
Right.
Cicada. Yeah. But I heard that and I looked on the news and it started about 6 days ago, I suppose. But then the news right up to 2 hours ago, you can see it. It's like it's in America, it's come from Africa, now it's in England. Like between 4 and 2 hours ago, it's now arrived in England. It must have come over on a helicopter or a private jet.
Psycho strain. Yeah.
I think about how do they even know that, right? So they pick like, 3 people in this remote village somewhere came up. Right, whatever.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah.
Oh, they've been checking the sewage and they found 29. I mean, the numbers around it might have a field there. 29 variations.
Well,
they found it in the sewage systems, etc.
They were saying that with COVID. They were saying that COVID was in the sewage system.
Yeah, they did. Yeah,
So
and on notes, cash.
But it implants a vision, doesn't it, of some guy in a hat suit scooping up bits of crap in a little test tube and going back and testing them in his lab.
Yeah, some guy in a hazmat suit's down in the sewer system, right? Scraping shit, putting it in a test tube. Who believes this stuff?
I know. And then, like me and Doris said, then they're in a science lab drinking coffee, staying up late,
eating cold pizza and stuff. Yeah.
And they find out that there's a
we have to stay awake for 48 hours and
And the whole COVID thing, mRNA, it just went away overnight. Boop, gone. Yeah. That's it.
Yeah, gone.
Oh no, this new strain, Mike, it's resilient to the gibbery jabbers. It's resilient.
We need a new one then, Chris. We need a new one.
No, yeah. It's also resilient to natural immunity. So
what about bullshit? Is it resilient to that?
But then you got to think. I know we're laughing about it, but we're laughing because it's funny. But there is people out there who believe the whole first lot that will be shitting themselves because they've just announced this new strain.
Yeah.
Well, we even have people here. I'm sure you do over where you guys are too. I go shopping. I stop off at the supermarket to pick up some groceries. They're walking around with masks.
Yeah. I've seen definitely a rise in that in the last few months.
And I really feel like going up to this person and saying, what is wrong with you? Why are you wearing a mask? What is it that you're so afraid of? Yeah. So I don't say anything. I just keep to myself because it makes no sense to say anything anyway. They won't have an answer. They'll just look at you with some, blank look in their face. Yeah. But it's a mental illness. It really is. It comes down to you have to have a mental illness to conduct yourself like that, to have that level of fear and concern that you think you have to wake up every day and wear a mask. I'm going to cut off your oxygen.
In the background, I'm going to play this video. There's no sound on it, so.
Oh, here we go. Yeah, we talked about this one.
Yeah. I think you found it in them just after we spoke about it.
Yeah. Right. Yeah. So when Dom and I watched this before you joined us, Chris, we were noting his eye. So look his right eye, which is on our left, and then look at his left eye, which is on our right. Yeah, the right eye is black as black can be. Yeah. It's very strange.
Yeah.
Very strange.
that one on our left, it seemed to follow her then.
It's kind of drifting a little bit, but the left eye is. What is going on there?
What we're watching there.
Look how dark it is.
That other one moved up then.
So for those who don't know, he's in trance.
Well, he's apparently running a country. But that means what I find fascinating, what really gets me about this is that woman must be in on it. She must know.
Oh yeah.
What he is.
Oh yeah.
That goes back to that
makeup artist though. So she's got a job in MKUltra. She understands what MKUltra is or whatever that is, whether it's a robot, I don't know. But she's also a trained makeup artist.
But Chris, that goes back to them bloodlines that Julian Huxley was, that black and white documentary where all them bloodlines were stage set designers, and he was calling them geniuses, makeup artists and things like that. Not just the singers or actors, but the people in the background who designed the sets and what have you.
He hadn't blinked, has he?
No.
That's what Mike was saying. Mike was saying that, yeah.
The only time he really blinks is when she goes near his eyes with the to wipe them. Yeah. But and that eye on our right, his left eye, that's weird.
That's so weird.
Look at that.
He's some kind of Robotron, some kind of.
It reminds me of Terminator. Yeah. Even his opposite eye is looking over to the other side, isn't it? You can see
it's almost like what they call exotropia, which is where one of the eyes
like a lazy eye,
kind of
like
lazy
I've got.
eye. Yeah, it drifts. So,
The exotropia is a bit different, isn't it? It drifts in and out a bit. But yeah, it's what a strange video.
Very strange. Look at him. Look at his
Why would
mouth.
they allow that to have the light of day though, as well? If they didn't want to show you what was actually going on behind the scenes.
I think it's probably because they want to show you what goes on behind the scenes. It's some of the stuff gets leaked, and it's kind of a way of putting it out there, and they're telling you.
It does work. I mean,
he's a Manchurian candidate. He's a he's a robot.
They also know, Mike, that 90% of people don't care. Or they'll just,
no, they don't. That's the thing.
That's weird. That's weird.
They don't care. They'll look at this and go, "Wow, that's weird." Yeah.
He was just concentrating because he has his makeup done.
Can you get me another beer, honey? You know, it's
Yeah, what a strange video. Back to another weirdo.
Yeah.
Jim Carrey.
I think this whole story was a bit of a distraction myself.
Yeah, I do as well, yeah. But he's obviously had some kind of facelift on it. And his eyes are different as well, Chris.
Oh no, I don't think that was him. I don't think that was him.
I think he had a double. I think he had a double. Is that France, right?
Yeah.
There was an interview where he came clean and said that he had a body double, because he said that when there were events that he wasn't interested in attending, he would send the body double. So, or a body double. So that's, I think, what we saw in France.
Yeah. But it was also put into the, when you think of all the other stuff that's going on, and then this is put out and everyone's talking about it, it's another distraction, I think, to get everyone wagging on about something different to what what's actually going on. But one thing I did realize about
that does prove, though, that there are doubles out there. That's what that proves. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, and it's a convincing one, isn't it? I mean, it does look like him, but he talks different and everything. But do you know that his career's gone really downhill on it? I mean, he's in Sonic the Hedgehog films now. I mean, they make a lot of money, but he was quite vocal about anti-gibberish jabs, wasn't he?
He got caught up in a bad thing. He's
going out with a girl who reckoned her child was damaged by jib jabs.
Right.
And then I saw some footage of him on talk shows and stuff, and he was quite vocal, like joining her to, mouth off about gibberish jabs. I'm not saying it was that, but he seemed to have vanished quite quickly. I mean, he was nothing but an up-and-coming star, wasn't he?
Yeah, well, you start talking like that, and they're going to put you on the shelf. We talked about this. That's what happened with Eric Clapton, right? When he took the AstraZeneca shot, and Eric went out and did that interview, and he had said that as soon as he started talking about it, how he had numbness in both his hands, and he wasn't sure if he was ever going to play guitar again. The phone calls dried up. No more phone calls about doing studio work or collaborating or any of that stuff. So, that's the thing. If you're making your money in this business, in the music and entertainment business, and you walk off the reservation, they could pull the rug right out from under your feet, and that will be that. You'll be yesterday's news.
Dave here, allegedly, Dave doubles our clones. And
who knows?
Who knows? Who knows, Dave?
Yeah. But he was very quiet after that, wasn't he, Eric Clapton? He didn't say anything else. He only said it once, and then someone must have told him to shut up.
Yeah, he quieted down, and So, but you know what? For the one time that he came out and talked about it, I tip my hat to him.
Yeah,
because not a whole lot of other people in his position.
I don't think he realized. I think he thought it would just be normal to ask questions, though. Not like us guys and people listening who know that once you stick your head above the parapet, they're going to take some big shots at you.
But I thought he was being helpful, maybe.
It also goes to show you that, many of these people really don't know what the overall agenda is, right? So if Eric was in on the agenda, first of all, he wouldn't have taken the shot. So, they're used and abused as well. And you could be an A-list player, but an A-list player just means that you're getting paid a whole lot of money and you're very prominent in whatever industry you're in. But it doesn't necessarily mean that you're clued into everything.
No. There's a lot of them have passed away quite suddenly over recent years as well.
Yeah.
So they're not all in the club, are they? To the level they think they are, should I say?
No. So very interesting.
Do you remember that picture of Tom Hanks' son, Chris? Didn't you say he looks like he's had a sex change?
It was just, I might have seen someone else talk about that, but
You can see the lines under his chest.
Unless he's had a chest implant or something.
Yeah. Okay. That's
Well,
interesting.
apparently it's easier. I'm not saying I know a lot about it, by the way, but if you transition from a woman to a man, it's more convincing than going the other way.
Yeah, I like the big pyramid with the eye tattooed on his chest.
I mean, if you're
What
going
does
to carry
that
that
mean?
around forever, you must have done a little bit of research.
Yeah,
To know
it
what that
means,
is.
wouldn't
Yeah.
you? You would have
Yeah.
thought so. You know, very interesting. Like, me and my missus went on this honeymoon to Sicily, and I went in a lot of churches and I took a lot of pictures. I've got them all as well, actually. And they all you found that's all seeing eye in every church. These really old ancient churches in Sicily, they were everywhere. On yeah.
Well, some people get upset when I say this, but the all-seeing eye, the eye is the eye of providence. So, these elites, these people that are running the control system, they have commandeered much of the ancient and sacred symbolism for their own purposes. So, like on my first album, Leaving Dystopia, I have the eye in the pyramid, and some people got on me about that and said, what's that all about? Are you with the Illuminati? And no. I'm I'm using the symbolism the way it's supposed to be used from a holy and sacred perspective. Okay, you have to understand that the people that are running the control system, they have turned everything upside down, and they're using this symbolism for their own benefit. It's in the book, The Secret Teachings of All Ages by Manly P. Hall. I read that book a long time ago, but I'll never forget, early in the book, Manly P. Hall tells us that and remember now, this is going back to the 1920s, so this is like 100 years ago. And he was saying that the control system, the people in power, have taken the divine mysteries and knowledge, and they bastardized it. Now, I'm paraphrasing, but that's essentially what Manly P. Hall said in The Secret Teachings of All Ages, and I think that book was published back in the 1920s. So that's something we have to keep in mind,
So what does it mean then, Mike? What would that mean when I saw it in those old churches, for instance?
Well, the pyramid would represent the elements, and it also represents balance. Because the pyramid, with its base, is a very secure structure. Right. So, with the eye within the pyramid is the eye of the Creator, the all-seeing eye. It's the eye of, like I said, the eye of providence. It's God overseeing creation. And in fact, let me just hold on one second. I actually had to put it on my website because I was getting so many questions about it. The triangle represents the four classical elements: air, earth, water, and fire, while also embodying the Holy Trinity and the fundamental creative principle of existence. The eye within it symbolizes the Creator, the all-seeing divine presence that oversees all things. So let me just see if I have something else here that I wanted to share. Because some people might say, well, the pyramid has three sides, but you're talking about the four elements. And I can't find it right now. Why can't I find it? Okay. So when you look at the pyramid, when it's the point is at the top, that's fire. If you flip it where the top is, the bottom of the pyramid is at the top and the point is pointing down, you have a line across it, that's earth. You take the pyramid and you again have the base of it on the bottom and the point at the top, and you put another line across the top, that's air. If you then take it and you invert it again, where the base is at the top and the point is at the bottom, but there's no line, that's water. So you have fire, earth, air, and water. And then when you take the pyramid and you have it positioned so that, let me get back to you guys here, positioned where you have it going up and then going down and it overlaps, that's the ether. Okay. So, that's the meaning, over going back many years when I researched it, and I just didn't plop it on my album cover because, I was with the Illuminati. So they, and like with all of these symbols, it's intent. It's the intent behind the symbols.
So it's been hijacked, and they've probably
it's definitely been hijacked. In fact, I did a show with Billy Watson going back a number of years ago, maybe 2-3 years ago, and part of that show talked about the hijacking of the symbolism. So that's why I don't get like, I look at this, but he's got it tattooed on his chest. Obviously the intent is very different coming from the Hanks family than it is with people with good intent.
It's not a particularly friendly looking eye either, is it?
No, no. So
well, if you've got all that
anyway,
money, you'd have had a better tattoo, wouldn't you? I would have.
What's
thought.
that?
I think that's covering something up. If you had all that money, you'd have had a better designer do your tattoos.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm not big on tattoos, but I'd have thought something a little bit more artistic.
Yeah, he's even got it going down the side, his left side of his body on our right. Yeah. So,
he's had some kind of work done on his chest, whether it's a chest implant or something.
I'm just going with the beard because the beard looks like them beards when they're going through that having the drugs, like a teenager's beard. It looks, but he's older than that.
Yeah, it looks weird. Like his chest, his pec muscles, you could see underneath there. It looks like there's ripples,
two lines.
Lines. That's very strange, especially for somebody who is, doing weights and working out. You don't usually see that.
And he's young. In that picture, he's early 30s. Starting to get into your 40s, you start going a bit south. But
yeah, it's odd, isn't it?
Yeah.
I found that video of Ariana Grande as well. I don't know what the sound's like on this, so you have to bear with me. And there's some guy half talking over it. But remember this video, Chris?
So I'm having trouble remembering the details. They're foggy because at the Brighter Days Clinic, they do the memory erasure,
So did Ariana Grande just admit that she's going to a clinic, some Hollywood celebrity clinic that erases her memories? I mean, that seems like concerning.
The memory erasure, they erase my memories. It's a little foggy, but...
If you could remember, struggle, tell me, give me a date. Give me a date.
You know what? I'll have to go back to the clinic and see if they can restore my memory.
Is it going to be soon?
So I decided...
So this actual place, she did a series, I think on Netflix, that was called The Brighter Days Clinic about memory erasure. But this clinic actually exists. And I have checked this guy's information out. And it does actually exist. It is an actual mental health and drug rehab clinic.
Brighter Days Recovery.
Yeah. So they're actually, when you search Brighter Days, it brings up this mental health clinic. So there is an actual mental health clinic that does all this stuff that they've based this series on, that a lot of the celebs go to.
When I was in practice, people would ask me, because let's say they had a really bad relationship and they just didn't want to remember somebody. I swear to God, these are true stories.
Wow. Yeah.
And they would come to me and they say, could you blot this person out of my life? Just erase my memories of them so that I don't have any memory of them ever being in my life. And I mean, I would never do that. I mean, it's ridiculous. So
that's from the film, though, isn't it? That's from the Jim Carrey film. Spotless Mind. So did they see that film and think that it was possible then? Or?
I guess. I mean, I guess so. Like, that's a good idea, So I don't know. Like I said, it's a very, very strange world.
Yeah.
I'm going to send you the image on the triangle. So just in case, Dom, you want to slip it in. I was trying to explain it, but this way you can just put it up and people can see.
Yeah.
Okay.
So one thing that came up as well is a lot of the A-list, says here, A-list celebrities, a lot of their children have become trans and non-binary. This came up in some research I was doing, mainly on the Assassin's Creed stuff.
Mm-hmm.
So it popped out a lot of different things. I don't know if you remember, we went through this a few years ago, Chris. How the irony is Ben Affleck's daughter has become Finn, a boy, and Jennifer Lopez's, when they were married, she became non-binary. I think I've got a picture of Jennifer Lopez's. That's Jennifer Lopez's daughter. she's now non-sexual, if you like. What are the odds that two people, famous people like these two, both of their children would be trans or non-binary? And obviously Tavistock are heavily involved in all this stuff, Mike, as well.
Yeah.
The Tavistock clinic was the centre of basically sex changes in Britain, wasn't it, Chris?
Yep.
Yeah, it got closed down. Closed down or moved. Yeah. Or moved.
Right. I mean, they may have closed out, but the work didn't stop.
But again, after looking at that Ariana Grande thing, I mean, you can't feel nothing but sympathy for her, can you? Because she looks batshit. And are these kids going through the same thing? No, but you do, don't you? Because, I mean, who says, I need to find out about that memory. I need to go back to the clinic and ask them, what the hell does that mean?
Gender neutral pronouns, that stuff, it's just so.
It hurts your head, doesn't it? It hurts your head, Mike, doesn't it?
Yeah.
It does.
But if they can do that to her, what are they doing to these kids? Or are they just saying your kid has now got to come out because we're pushing this thing, so now your kid has got to come out as this?
They're pushing dangerous, dysfunctional stuff. It's just unbelievable.
But I see a lot of kids now there's a girl who lives where I'm staring at now, back behind my wall, over the field, if you like. She gets in the car with her mother, and she's got hair like that, like a hydrangea. Same colour. And I just know that she's going through the same thing as this poor girl is.
Yeah. Yeah.
Where they've been told from a young age, at 12, you don't know what sex you are.
No.
You know?
No. It's a total, it's an abomination, a distortion of humanity. And I don't know. Sometimes I just wonder, I think to myself, like, you got J-Lo here, right? Isn't there an ounce of something within you that says this is so wrong and I shouldn't be doing this?
Right.
Yeah. And instead of just pushing through it and doing what you're told, I don't know. To me, it's where's the humanity?
Dare anybody actually say anything?
No.
Now, that's the point as well. They make it so, a bit like the anti-Semitic stuff, that you can't say anything, or anti-jab stuff. All of these things now, you cannot.
Yeah,
say
you're
anything,
transphobe. You're you're an anti-Semite. You're always anti-something. They're always trying to shame you, to put you back in a box. And the thing is, don't be put back in the box. Just don't speak your mind.
Right.
Plain and simple.
Dave says other influencers are supposed to influence and masters to follow suit, but that's part of it as well, isn't it? Just like you said with the jib jab, people listen to these people and hold them in some kind of adoration, don't they?
Yeah, like George Clooney or
Billy is Paul McCartney. He was out there saying, "Take the shot." I think Mick Jagger was doing the same thing.
Jagger was another.
Take the shot.
Yeah.
These are supposedly counterculture, anti-establishment guys.
Do you remember that footage, Mike, when it was on the American news when De Niro was showing the Vaxxed film in his and he soon showed up as well, didn't he? He actually looked quite annoyed at that point, saying, because he's got an autistic son, I believe, and he said his wife did think there was a possible link, and he looked quite angry about it, but then he never mentioned it ever again. And
they shut him down. I think he told him to shut up.
Before you knew it, we were doing a Quay advert in England.
Yeah.
And you think, honestly, I know we joke about it, Don, but was that some kind of punishment?
Punishment,
Robert De Niro, one of the biggest actors ever. And all of a sudden, I think he did a Warburton's advert as well, didn't he?
He did do, a bread advert,
bread advert in England. I mean, why would you feel the need to do that?
They got to tell a guy like De Niro, and people think, a guy like De Niro, so famous, he's an untouchable, but he's not. They say to him, look, you better shut up, otherwise you're out of work. You'll never make another film. So,
but, I mean, that's Cher's son, now daughter.
Chastity,
Yeah, can you see how similar that looks to Tom Hanks's son, the beard? I mean, I know it's different colour, but it's like a light fuzz beard. Sting's daughter, Elliot Sumner, she's now gone from a boy to a girl, I think, or the other way around. I can't remember now. I get mixed up. Like
gender fluid. She didn't know if I.
Gender fluid. Right. And then this is one of the most disturbing ones for me is Megan Fox's. Her sons, she dresses them as girls.
Yeah. I
mean, that's pretty fucked up, isn't it?
I don't know, guys. I don't know how checked out you have to be be doing something like this with your kids.
There's a I can remember that video I showed of that woman taking a son or daughter son to have a sex change, and the doctor's talking to them. Both women are somebody's done research. I think it's some psychiatrist or a psychologist, and most of the women that are taking their kids are have mental illnesses. They've actually, so the mothers that are taking the kids to be desexualized are mentally ill. And how are they then? So someone who's, I mean, we're just talking about Trump, who is deranged, who's apparently got his finger on the button, if you believe all that, but he's certainly there in power at the moment, talking in front of a camera. We're actually being run by lunatics, and we're allowing his kids to be taken to be operated on by lunatics. I think it was Ben Affleck who said that you have to be a narcissist to be an actor. So to actually be an actor, you've got to be a narcissist.
Yes. Yep.
And the funny thing about this thing is kids don't think about sexuality. It's not something on their wavelength, is it, till you go into puberty anyway?
Well, it weren't in our generation, it weren't, were it? You know, it was something that came naturally to you. Now it's forced on kids by this hypersexuality. And look at, so Robert De Niro, is this payback? His son now's become a woman? I don't know. For questioning the jabs.
Could be. I don't know. This is, this goes back to, I'll give you my view on this thing. I mean, this goes back to the teachings of Crowley and Jacob Frank and Sabbatai Zevi, where you actually have to break every moral code, jump into the abyss in order to eventually rise like the phoenix, and you're enlightened and illuminated. So all of this stuff it's, as far as I'm concerned, it's that. Jumping into the abyss, jumping into the darkness. This is the mentality, this is the theology and the philosophy of the controllers of the world. So
it's hard for a normie to get the head round the fact. I was talking to a guy over the last few weeks at my youngest one's cricket training, and he started asking me questions. I do get asked a lot more questions now than I did 5 or 6 years ago. People used to go the opposite direction, but certainly since 2020, people are asking me. I don't know if you're getting this as well, Mike, and I know Chris is at work. And I said, you've got to understand that these people might talk on TV, Boris Johnson, Tony Blair, people like that, but they're not like us. They talk our language and they look human, if you believe that, but they're not like us. They're talking a totally different, well, their words mean something totally different. When they say they care about you, it probably means they want to kill you.
Yeah.
And you've got to think in those terms, sadly.
They play the game of, they'll tell you what you want to hear, but there is absolutely no sincerity behind it. They have an agenda. So in order to create a path of least resistance, they will appease you. They will tell you what you want to hear. They'll whisper sweet nothings into your ear. And then they go about their destructive ways. I have had family members who have come around that, thought I was completely off my rocker. And, now I'm not so off the rocker anymore. What's interesting, though? You ever notice this? There are people that you've been talking to who think that you're crazy or thought you were crazy. And then they wake up and they never say this. You were right.
Never give
it's
you
always
the credit.
it's always like they came about this on their own accord. Nobody ever told them anything. They just had an epiphany overnight, and you never get any credit for the fact that you've been talking about this shit for the last
I had that
decade
with
or so.
an ex-business partner in 2020. He says, you were right all along.
At least he said it.
For him.
Yeah, at least he said it. At least he did say it. Yeah. Anyway, but going back to you pull these out, Chris. Where what are the odds? two brothers making the Matrix film all of a sudden become trans.
Yeah, it's an odd one, that, isn't it?
And they're attractive.
Oh, very attractive. Yeah.
Oh my Lord. That's the other thing too. Everything is ugly now.
Yeah.
There's no more beauty in the world. They're trying to erase the beauty.
Like
from
you
the
say,
world.
it's bastardized.
Yes. And I'm not being funny here. I'm saying they have really gone out of their way to uglify. Is that a word? I don't think it's a word. Anyway,
it is now. It is now.
Everything.
Yeah.
So,
And make it hypersexual. Why do trans people have to be like strippers? Why? Why can't?
Right.
If they want it to be like a woman, why can't it be a classic woman? Why?
Yeah.
Why do they have to be dressed like a tart?
It's to destroy the intimacy of the sexual relationship between a man and a woman. You know, it's to bring it down to such a base level, an animalistic level.
Yeah.
And by doing that, what happens is it's the same thing that porn does. Porn takes the act of having sex or having sexual relations, and they make it something that is dirty, filthy. Yeah, exactly. And so, and that's led to problems too, because a lot of I was reading a statistic let's go back a couple of years ago, but the number of erectile dysfunction ED cases in young men in their 20s has gone through the roof. And that's because they're watching porn. And so when they get into a real relationship, what they're watching on their computer screen is not reality. And so when that fantasy that they have built in their head that's programmed and brainwashed, and guess who owns the porn industry? Just take one wild guess, right?
Yeah. A certain Mediterranean country.
Exactly, right. That's who they are. So they now when they try to have that type of experience in real life with a real woman, doesn't happen. Right. So now they have, now they're having all kinds of sexual dysfunction issues. And it's just all so distorted. It's and so upside down. It's amazing.
I'm trying to find this image. In fact, we'll have to do it on a shared screen. I used this image over the last few weeks for.
I mean, I know. I was just going to say, I know it weren't right. I'm not sure. My dad had one dodgy VHS tape, but to get it, you had to be like Indiana Jones, and then to actually play the bloody thing, of his dodgy little porn collection. But now, I mean, what I'm trying to say is now kids have got it instantaneously on a phone, haven't they?
Yep.
And obviously quite hardcore, quite horrible stuff, some of it as well.
Yes.
And that's all they've seen. That's their first interaction with seeing any kind of sexuality, is that, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean, they're seeing it at 9, 10, 11, 12 years old. I don't know about you guys, but I was out playing baseball.
Yeah, I went out football, climbing trees and whatever.
Yeah. I didn't have a phone in my hand looking at hardcore porn.
Yeah. Well, as soon as Dad used to mention girls to me, I'd go totally embarrassed and just change the subject. But this meeting here, I brought this up a couple of weeks ago on a show we did. I've had this for years, haven't I, Chris? And this is a meeting from 1967 with the National Institutes of Health in the US. And it's proposed measures to reduce fertility by universality or selectivity of impact in the US. And this is like that Dr. Dunnigan who did that, the New Barbarians or whatever it was. I don't know if you've heard that, Mike. It was, but this is part of that control mechanism. They've written what we've just been talking about: transhumanism, hypersexuality, the destruction of the family, yada yada yada. That was in a meeting in 1967.
This is right out of the Frankfurt School's playbook. I'm reading this. Restructure family, postpone or avoid marriage, alter image of ideal family size, compulsory education of children, encourage increased homosexuality, educate for family limitation, fertility control agents in the water supply, encourage women to work. This is all Frankfurt School stuff. We've talked about this.
Yeah.
Yep.
And here it is in an actual. This is who Fauci was leader of, isn't it? I mean, I'm not saying at this particular point, but this is the National Institutes of Health. So yeah, it's all there. They've been planning this for decades, if not a century. I mean, this was probably the culmination of all their work.
Yeah. I mean, economic deterrence and incentives, right? So restructure the family, postpone or avoid marriage. So modify tax policies. A, substantial marriage tax. So they're going to tax you more for being married.
And in
Right?
a way,
That's
that's
what I'm
happened.
reading.
In a stealth way, that's happened because two people have to work now. And
Yeah.
whereas it used
Tax
to be.
if you have a child. Tax if you have a child.
Yes.
Tax married more than single. Remove parents' tax exemption. Additional taxes on parents with more than one or two children in school. Come on. You know?
So yeah, I mean, these are.
This is a great chart.
Yeah, it is. I'll email it over, Mike. Then.
Yes, please.
Just think we pay people to come up with this.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Indirectly. You know.
But like I said about the self-harming, we're basically putting our name on the paper, voting someone in, whether it's real or not. We're accepting the harm that they're going to give us.
Like this.
Like this. I mean, this is, like you said, Frankfurt School, Tavistock, all the stuff that we've been discussing.
Absolutely.
And
Fabian
also
Society.
the guy that at the bottom there, W. Shockley, is William Shockley of Stanford University. He was a eugenicist. It's on his Wikipedia page. He's a eugenicist.
Yes.
And he's a racist and a eugenicist. That's what it says on his Wikipedia page. So how bad was he, if that's what it says on his Wikipedia page?
Yeah.
And folks, they just read this chart a little bit on the social controls. Compulsory abortion of out-of-wedlock pregnancies. Compulsory sterilization of all who have two children, except for a few who would be allowed 3. So they're going to decide who has 2 kids or 3.
That comes back to bloodlines.
Confine childbearing to only a limited number of adults. Stock certificate type permits for children. I mean, you've got to be kidding me.
Yeah.
But this is the
this
stuff.
is children of men stuff, isn't it?
Yeah. This is, this is what's going on. This is how far back, we've talked about this before. This is how far back their planning goes. Now, some of this stuff, people say, well, they didn't implement it. Good. But that's really not the point. The point is, this is where they want to go.
I would also say that these are top level things. If you, for instance, compulsory education of children, if you drill down, there's probably a full sheet on compulsory education of children.
Yes. Yeah.
Likewise, introduce homosexuality or increase homosexuality. That could include transsexuals and non-binary and all these other things that we've just been talking about as well. Fertility control agents. I mean, there's an interview by, is it that him who looks like a lizard, Chris? Sir John Bell, who was part of most of the major pharmaceuticals, and he was interviewed in the UK as a Canadian guy, and he was interviewed in the UK, and he slipped up and said, the jab won't sterilize everybody. I've got it on video. And the guy who was interviewing him, quite a famous guy over here, I think it was Peter Snow, said, Sir John, we're trying to stop him from saying it, but the cat went out of the bag. He actually said it won't sterilize everybody.
Well, but right along that, if you go to the far right column, it says, how can we motivate these actions? How can we get people to participate? Well, payments to encourage sterilization. So we'll pay you if you let us sterilize you. Payments to encourage contraception. Payments to encourage abortion. So they're going to hand out the money. So you're going to get an abortion. We'll pay you to have an abortion.
It's like the furlough money over here. It's the same
I think
thing.
isn't that already happening? I think in America, some places. I'm sure I saw something about that where they are actually paying for the fetus at a certain point, so people are getting pregnant on purpose.
I wouldn't doubt it. I don't know. I don't know, but
I can't remember where I saw that.
Yeah.
That's every dystopian film that you can imagine, isn't it?
This is unbelievable.
Just on one sheet. And it does back up because I've checked the names on there, like William Shockley. All these people, they were eugenicists.
But even the ones that haven't come into fruition, the fact that somebody's thought about them and written them down
is bad enough. Yeah,
that was my point, because people will argue with us and say, well, a lot of stuff didn't happen. Like, well, that's the point is that this is what they want to have happen. And because it didn't happen overtly, that's not to say that there aren't hidden ways in which they were able to get this done. Right? So the handing out of contraception, women being on the pill, the whole making it very difficult for the family to function as a nucleus, because mom and dad both have to go out to work, because if they don't do that, they can't pay the mortgage or the rent. You know?
Then you hand over your kids to the state to look after. Yeah.
Right. So they can be brainwashed. And so that's how it gets done. Unbelievable.
It's pretty chilling. I thought that paper. Get it off screen. I think there's another image here, and then we'll. So I started putting together the Kardashians because I thought they'd be an interesting subject, and lo and behold, they share a bloodline with David Cameron.
Okay. Yeah.
And Boris Johnson.
Yeah, that's just coincidence, Tom.
Yeah. Yeah. You know. But they're at the forefront of a lot of changes, weren't they? I mean, that's the guy with the sort of white, grey stripe in his hair. That was the Kardashians' father.
That was the father. He had passed away. Yeah.
He represented O.J. Simpson.
Yeah, he was part of the legal team initially. Right.
Yeah.
Yep. And see what he's doing there, what OJ's doing there with the gloves? That's the Masonic symbol for a Mason in distress.
Really?
Yes. Yes.
I don't know where Chris has gone.
So, what, I'm sure on that jury, it was stacked with a Mason or two.
Yeah, I'm sure it was as well. Yeah.
But that's what he's doing there. That's the Masonic hand sign for a Mason in distress.
Wasn't that the famous picture where he said the gloves didn't fit him?
Yeah, it says if the gloves don't fit, you must have quit. It was Johnny Cochran. Yeah. And who was another? Sorry. No, I was going to say Johnny Cochran was another piece of work.
Yeah, he was anyway. OJ. So the Kardashians then obviously the mother married that Jenner guy, Bruce Jenner, who was sort of the epitome of masculinity, if you like.
Yeah.
Olympic runner, etc. Represented the US. That now is a woman.
Yeah. Yep. He was on the box of Wheaties when he was in his prime as an Olympic athlete.
Right.
And so we know what this tells me is that is a price to pay. You want to be an Olympic champion? You want all of this, in your life? You want all of these great things? Well, you'll have them. It's kind of like, it's a pact with the devil. It's the Faustian bargain. So at some point you're going to have to pay up. You're going to have to pay your debt. And that's it right there in the bottom right.
Yeah.
He had to become Caitlyn Jenner.
So last picture is this is Carrie Johnson. I don't know where Chris has gone. He just dropped out for some reason. Maybe his internet's gone off. This is Boris Johnson's now wife in a Crowley-esque play. And what is strange about this, if we move over to his advisor, he had a Crowley advising him as well, did Boris Johnson. Alex Crowley.
Yes.
I think we mentioned it before. And his wife, I mean, again, what are the odds of his wife being in a Crowley-esque play and being advised by a Crowley?
Exactly. And I'm looking at the circle. It looks like there are tarot cards along the circle. Of course, Crowley had his own tarot deck.
Right.
Very interesting. And I pointed this out, when you showed me earlier, before we got started, the guy in the chair, I said, somebody needs to feed him.
Yeah.
Just saying.
Yeah, he needs a good dinner.
He does. A couple.
Yeah. So should we call that a take, Mike? We've done.
Yeah, that was great,
again,
Dom. And
2 hours,
Chris,
man. 2 hours. I don't know where Chris has legged it to.
He probably lost his connection.
Yeah. His connection was fine all the way through, so don't know
It's
where he's
okay.
gone.
He was here for
I'll
most of
catch
the
up with
time,
him.
so
Yeah.
But no, this was great, Dom and Chris. Thank you so much for asking me to come on and just go through this stuff. It's fun to do this. It's fun to just go through, like,
some images and have a talk about certain videos and things like that.
Yeah, and point out what most people don't see or most people take for granted, and then pointing out that this is not coincidental stuff. This stuff is out there for a reason. It's there to condition you. It's there or to make you apathetic, to get you to glaze over. Like I said, to basically get the road cleared out so that they can drive down the road with their agenda with the least amount of resistance. So
yeah, okay. I will just wait there. I'll play the outro music and then
okay,
I'll bring you back in for a sec. Yeah.
All righty.
All right, everybody. Thanks very much for tuning in. I don't know where Chris has legged it. It's probably got a bottle of wine inside him. We will catch up probably at the weekend as well with an extra hour. But until then, we'll see you later. Bye.